Greetings from Internet Land. Thanks everyone for stopping by Night Terrors Radio. We're going to fly by the seat of our pants for a complete and total hour. And it's going to be fun doing it. We've got a wonderful show lined up for you. As always, we have some fantastic news segments letting you know the things you never thought you'd actually want to know about. We also have Christopher Cooksey. He's going to be talking about his film, The Quantum Terror, with us tonight. First of all, welcome everyone to our Thursday. We're going to have a wonderful time tonight. I keep reiterating that because it's a mantra I chant until it actually happens. As always, I am Ash Hamilton of horror-fix.com. I've got my compatriots from the East Coast, Brian Cardelli, King of the Hill People, and Rob Pistilli, second in command. Sorry that you're his lieutenant tonight, Rob. It's just the way I sort of spun that.
All right. At least you thought of me.
We have true crime expert and someone who put her lips on for a second week in a row, EJ Hammond. How are you doing, EJ?
Good. How about you?
I like the pouty face.
Do you?
I can't. You know, I suffer from Irish no lips, so I can't really do that. Like, if I do that, like a tooth will just end up sticking out.
That is unfortunate.
It doesn't look alluring at all. Believe me,
not at all.
It absolutely does not.
That's a really bad Irish mafia name. No, Irish no lips.
No lips. Yeah.
Yeah.
Little no lips McGillicuddy over here.
Yeah.
That's how that happens.
Love it.
So they called me in primary school. So we've got a great show lined up. As always, we have news coming at you. Without further ado, so we don't waste too much time of our evening, let's go ahead and have some news. See, people expect way too much from us when we have production value. This is where we went wrong.
No, they don't.
We needed to keep it simple, and now people are expecting way too much. I'm gonna make a Christopher the big talking head here. Boom, and there we go.
Very nice.
There we go. Much better. That's more better now.
As always, we've got a couple of fantastic news segments lined up. These are hard-hitting topics. Mind you.
I like that I'm hidden. Okay. That I'm hidden behind the logo now.
Yeah.
You are hidden behind the Night Terrors logo. We need to do this differently. We honestly do. Hey, look at that. Nobody's safe.
And it improves.
I'll peek out over here.
Can we do the Brady Bunch thing? Can we all
occasionally?
Oh, hi, Ash. Hey, what's going on, Brian?
Oh, no.
What? Random acts of incest and pedophilia? Yeah, I'm sure we can do that.
Well, now.
I think I'm on the wrong show.
No, you're on the right show.
You just now realizing that, EJ?
Right.
I thought you'd flattened out that learning curve weeks ago.
Yeah. You think I would have run for the hills, but I did not.
Who's got our news segments tonight? I did a fantastic intro. So nice and polished and heavy metal.
Brian starts.
Oh, you want me to pick it up? All right. Well,
yep.
Take it away, Brian.
With all the, we got another COVID surge and you got monkeypox and things like that. A little.
It sounds like a cereal, though, doesn't it?
Right.
Every time I hear it, I'm like, why am I so hungry? Because I want a bowl of crispy monkeypox.
Crispy monkeypox. Yes.
Wow.
Crispy, flaky monkeypox. I'm sure.
Is that like Donkey Kong Jr. cereal? It might be.
It is. They've added riboflavin.
Same stuff. They just repackaged it.
It's exactly what it is. You turn the box inside out. It's the other cereal.
Right.
You're better off eating the box than a cereal.
Yeah. So with all that's going on, it's been in the news lately. About a couple civilizations that are kind of really remote and don't interact much, and got us to thinking about the North Sentinel Island. If you haven't heard about the North Sentinel Island, it's an archipelago that's kind of closer to Thailand, but is owned, I guess, by India.
Right. It's where they make all the big robots to hunt the X-Men, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
And the Sentinelese people, you may remember them, but they've been in the news again lately just because of their seclusion from the rest of the world, and they haven't had to worry about masking up because nobody goes to visit them. We don't even know how many there are.
Is this the tribe where we've done flyovers?
Yes.
And they just chuck spears at us continuously.
They shot arrows at like helicopters and stuff.
Right.
Smart.
Yeah.
And like,
right.
Like back in 20.
I do that and I get court-martialed. They do that and they get micronationed. Fantastic.
Right.
There you go. Yeah, they a couple fishermen, unlucky fishermen, drifted upon their island, and they murdered them. So those two are gone. And then in 2018, a 26-year-old Christian missionary decided he was going to try and convert them to Christianity. That didn't go so well. He met Jesus early. So yeah, the Indian government is like, no one is allowed to go visit the island without special permits, and even then you're not getting those. So it was just one of those things, that gets you thinking about, how we are as people, and we have all of our civilization and things, but really who we really are, when you boil it down, when you have a group, they don't even, like I said, they don't even know how many there are. There's somewhere between 40 and 400 of these people living on this small island. It's a very small island. It's only 23 square miles. So that's my news, is to kind of give, if you're interested in that kind of thing, go check it out. The North Sentinel Island, check out the Sentinelese people.
So they figure out who you are by boiling you down. Do they have a big pot for this?
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up. They actually at one point thought that they were cannibalistic, but no, they're not. At least because the two fishermen they killed, they just kind of dragged their bodies and left them on the beach, and they did the same thing with the missionary. And efforts to retrieve these bodies, not successful.
This is horrible, but in the back of my mind, I keep thinking we're gonna hit them on a day when they're sort of in sleep mode. They've had a big day of murdering and trying to take down helicopters. They go into a nice little siesta, and we find out that they've got the internet. They've got
that they are anonymous.
right. That's what. And we've just been giving them a get out of jail free card for all this shit. Just because they don't have an official zip code.
Right.
Yeah, they get an Amazon Prime parachute once a week.
The actual really funny thing about it, that when I was researching, they actually have a postal code.
Oh, wow.
So, if you want to write them a letter, you can.
But what language do they speak?
What would you say?
I don't know. It's reported that no one really knows. They said the missionary who went there before they filled him with arrows, he wrote some letters back because he went there a few times. And in one of them,
did he speak with them, or did he interact with them?
He interacted with them. A lot of times they laughed at him. I'm not sure if they laughed at him. Oh my God! That they laughed at him.
Why do I find that so funny?
Well, one time he landed.
It's like insult to injury.
One time he landed and he had gifts of fish and other gifts, and he held up his Bible, and one of the young boys shot an arrow clean through it. It just stuck right through the Bible.
No, we've seen this business before.
And at that point, he was like, "I'm gonna go now."
Yeah.
So He made a wise choice. See, I wouldn't go back. That would be my last trip there.
No Bible. Amazon wish list say Harry Potter.
You have to wonder when faith wins out over common sense, and when you're so compelled to put yourself in that situation that
Great
it doesn't
point.
matter, and that you're willing
You
to
can't
take that
put
risk.
those two words. You cannot put those two words or three words a sentence together.
He might as well have just brought Twilight to the island.
Yeah,
You're right.
Let's give an arrow quicker.
Right. Here's
like
sparkly vampires. Do something with that.
This does make more sense than Bible.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know, speaking of holy warriors,
I don't know why I don't know why my voice for them is Captain Caveman. By the way, it's highly insulting. But continue.
I think EJ, don't you have a nice holy warrior down there in
oh boy,
FLA?
She is something. So normally we have our second article is normally Florida man. This week we have Florida woman.
Well, we don't discriminate.
We do
Florida
not.
person.
No.
That's why I'm here. I'm here to help you not discriminate.
And we're not veering too far from our normal topic.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So this individual apparently decided that she wanted to show up at a grocery store. So she went to the Publix in Tampa. There's probably more than one, but one of the Publix is there in Tampa, where she brought not only a whip, but also a pitchfork, and decided that initially she decided she was going to stab a minivan with the pitchfork, and the police were called. Apparently it was raining when all this was happening too. So I don't know about you. I cannot stand being in the rain. My hair will just get very frizzy.
No.
Start stabbing.
And hopefully that Honda Odyssey had intermittent wipers on it too, so at least got some of what was going on.
Exactly. So they know who's attacking them. So when police showed up, she stood outside with her whip and pitchfork and walked right in front of the police officer's car when he stopped. It looked like it was in front of the building, and decided she would pose in what's called a power pose, which makes me think of Wonder Woman with like her hands on her hips. That was kind of what
or is it
she
that
did
thing like they do when they land and they put the hand in front of them?
That's the Stanley land.
Yep. And
Yeah,
she pointed
yeah.
the pitchfork at
A
him.
superhero landing.
Yeah, and then she
Brian.
tried to make the officer. What's that?
You know what I picked, Brian? Do you remember the Marblehead video?
Yes.
With the wind and the rain?
Oh, yes.
That's all I'm picturing right now.
Okay.
We'll send you that video.
Sounds great. So apparently when the officer was trying to arrest her, she tried to guilt trip him and asked him if he felt
Can
a little
anyone
bit
be
bad
more
about
patronizing in one syllable than EJ?
What's that?
Like, what are two syllables? I would have to spend a full 2 sentences knocking Rob off his ass, right? And you just come in, you're like, okay.
You know. I don't know why that amuses you so much, Ash, but apparently you find that hilarious.
Every time we get into these discussions and like Rob will say something and you don't even miss him, you're just like, okay. You tired old man. I'm moving on.
According to him, I'm much younger, so good Lord. So apparently while the officer was trying to arrest her, she started to yell out, "God is great."
Of course.
And told the officer that she was being directed to stab minivans because the Lord told her to.
Oh, that old chestnut, yeah.
Conversation was like, yeah. How did that conversation even start?
We should send her.
I
to
think that's in
Sentinel.
Matthew, right? It's like
What's
Matthew 7 verses 3 through 22.
Right.
You know, thou shalt find the caravan, thou shalt find the Odyssey, thou shalt find Sienna, and thou shalt stab it.
If automatic doors it does thus have, and third row it be proclaimed, thou will be smitten.
Exactly. And apparently she also told him she wanted to be taken into custody under the Baker Act, which does deal with mental disability. So she knew maybe she had been arrested similarly.
The fact that she pulls all the legalese she can out of her ass, but she's literally Don Quixoteing a grand caravan at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like that is to me that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Like when I go down publicly, and I'm sure it will happen, I want to be able to have that kind of duality where I can just switch on a dime and they're like, listen, sir, put your pants back on. And I'll be like, hey, listen, under the Levi Act of 1979, you got to take me in and give me 3 meals.
Perfect. And apparently she kicked the rear door window in the police car as well.
Oh, for good measure. Yeah.
Oh, why not?
Yeah. You know, just get those kicks in while you can. So,
I want to know what the power pose was. I want to like, is there
power pose?
Yeah, was there
like
a picture of the power pose?
I'm thinking like
yes, there is
Aquaman
video
or something, you know, like a trident kind of.
There is video. Yeah, she has one arm on her hip, and I think she might have the pitchfork out in front of her at one point.
So it's more of a Sailor Moon power pose.
Right. It is. It is.
It was something to behold.
I well, tell my friend Mike Barron that he just released his graphic novel Florida Man.
Wow. What?
Wait, who?
What is this
Mike
information?
Barron? What's that?
So he's got a graphic novel called Florida Man?
Yeah, he wrote a novel, and then he has he just did a crowdfunder for it and released Florida Man the graphic novel. So yeah, that's out. He's a longtime comic writer. He wrote for Punisher, and I think he did the Nam. Do you remember Punisher, the Nam?
Yeah.
Or Nam, however you say it.
How do you spell his last name?
Barron, Barron, I believe.
Mike Barron. Okay.
Yeah, he's done a lot of stuff. Nexus was a big comic that he did for a while with Steve Rude, but yeah, he was. He's been on my YouTube channel a couple of times talking about it, and he got a bee in his bonnet about Florida Man, so he created a whole Florida Man universe characters. So
wow.
So are you reaching out to him, EJ? Is that how it's going to work?
I think that may have to be what I have to do here.
Oh, here it is. Oh, I have to.
Unless Rob wants to.
Already, the craft research
job,
of Christopher Cooksey has elevated the show more than any other guest.
EJ,
Exactly.
I'll leave. Okay.
Bye, Rob.
Why are you leaving, Rob?
Do you have no news item?
Put him behind the logo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's going behind the logo.
Yeah.
Going in the penalty box. That's where you're going. Penalty box.
I'm used to it. I've been there plenty of times.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Nice.
Perfect.
There he is.
Perfect.
So we are with Christopher Cooksey tonight. He is the filmmaker behind the Quantum Terror. It is great to have Christopher. I talked to him a while back before the film was even done. Christopher has a long history with filmmaking, a long history with horror. He's responsible for the book based off of the film by, was it Alec Gillis or Tom Woodruff who did Harbinger Down?
Alec Gillis did Harbinger Down. So I did the behind the scenes book that's available on Amazon. And forget, this is Mr. Spock, by the way, and that's Spock's butt.
Nice.
So
yeah, I mean, if we don't see a cat butt per show, we haven't done our job.
What are you even doing with your life? He's rubbing against the microphone, so I hope that's not coming through as bump sounds or anything like that. He gets very pushy, but yes, thank you for having me on. I heard there was a paranormal aspect to tonight's episode, and I also have had some experiences throughout my life. So I thought that was very interesting, including things that happened during the creation of the Quantum Terror that I put into the film. So, wherever the conversation goes, I thought I'd at least throw that out there before that happens. So
the Quantum Terror was a labor of love for you, Christopher.
Yes, sorry.
As an independent filmmaker, these things obviously take a lot of time, and when sometimes we're a one-man band, it takes a whole hell of a lot longer. So, first of all, what was the genesis behind the Quantum Terror? I mean, it's obvious. I mean, I watched it. I really dug the film, by the way.
Thank you so much.
You know, it definitely has the, a very strong Lovecraftian vibe to it. I'm not only a fan of cosmic horror, but I'm sort of like a fan of like horror hidden between the planes of reality, and sometimes how things sort of leak in between them. That stuff always interests me greatly. So give us a little bit of a rundown of how the Quantum Terror came to be, like the idea, and then a little bit of the filmmaking behind it, because I know, like I said, it was a long journey. A lot of these films actually are.
Well, yeah, definitely. And thanks for checking it out again. There certainly was a lot of leakage during the production of that. I hit that joke too late, but anyway, did you watch it on Tubi? Is that where you saw it?
No, I actually the screener link you sent for me early on. I watched it.
All right. Yes, I'm really excited because it's on Tubi right now, which I think is the best place for horror movies. So to see the Quantum Terror come up on the menu, like next to like Charles Band's Full Moon Features and Roger Corman's stuff and all that is really a thrill. So yeah, the Quantum Terror was kind of a culmination of different interests of mine, including the fact that the place that I lived at the time, the house that I shot it in, was in a neighborhood which is kind of on, I guess it's on a, I can't remember if it's a latitude or longitudinal line that like lines up with all these monuments, like the Great Pyramids of Egypt and that sort of thing. Like we're right.
It's like a ley line?
Something like that. I can't remember. Oh, somebody explained it to me, because in our neighborhood, in this area, people have stories of a lot of stuff that goes on. And when I moved into this neighborhood, I noticed right by the house there was this tunnel that just went under the road, and it just came out the other side. But it reminded me of when I was a teenager and I had seen Alien 3, and I wanted to try and do like a fan film before fan films were a thing, because this is pre-internet, of aliens using miniatures and stuff. Even back then I was interested because I was watching all the behind the scenes about the rod puppets and the miniatures, and I thought that's so cool. That's how they save money. But that never happened.
Stop you for 1 second, Christopher. I absolutely have to stop you, okay? Because I have something of great relevance to show you as we begin to talk about this.
Put on my glasses. I keep taking them off because I keep seeing my
I thought that we were probably going to talk about this. So I had to bring out my 1979
right?
Yep, Kenner alien doll.
Nice. Yeah. Wow, that's cool.
Just when I get the moment, I have to bring him out.
My family just got me for Father's Day like a NECA Aliens toy. They do awesome work with those now. Like I'm afraid to take it out of the box because I've got animals, obviously, that'll think it's for them to bat around. But
oh yeah, yeah. But yeah, the NECA stuff is fantastic.
Yeah, well, it's the Aliens franchise, at least the first two, and I'm not really a fan of Alien 3, but I like a lot of the effects work that went into it, the sets and the miniatures, and I love the idea of the rod puppet, even though the execution was kind of they were pushing it for the technology of the time. But I love practical effects, and when I moved into this neighborhood, I saw that tunnel and it all came kind of flooding back, and I was like, I need to kind of do something like what I was planning to do back then. And I'd worked with Alec Gillis and Tom Woodruff at Studio ADI and helping with the Kickstarter for Harbinger Down, and they later hired me. I did get to work for them for a bit when I briefly moved back to California. And, so it's a big love of practical effects, but also, big into the Science Channel, and I kind of like the Science Channel because science and the Science Channel is like the tabloid sensationalist version of actual science. It's like really, if you actually dig into the stuff. Sorry for the shaking the camera. The cat. I'm gonna throw the cat out. Hold on, just a second. Hold on. A second. It's too much. He's being too pushy.
But I do think the Science Channel acts as like an arbitrator between National Geographic and like the Learning Channel or the Travel Channel. Because the Travel Channel, of course, it'll show you a piece of broccoli and it'll be like, that broccoli's haunted. What's awesome about the Science Channel, they'll be like, are there ghosts in this old asylum? Nope, it's Russians. So I kind of like the fact that the Science Channel will take the wind like out of the paranormal sales occasionally, because they'll be like, why was this building abandoned? It's asbestos. Like they won't go straight to like the ghost angle. When you're watching the Learning Channel or Travel Channel and they're like, why was this Jell-O expired? Ghosts. And then you go over to Science Channel, they'll be like, this Jell-O just sucked. It wasn't orange. It wasn't lime. It was just a shitty flavored Jell-O. And then you're like, okay, Science Channel, give it to me straight.
I always liked Outrageous Acts of Science, where they just have guys going like, here's all the cool stuff you can do with like basic, high school science stuff. But it's, there was a lot on the Science Channel about, I like the Cosmos stuff, and actually not Cosmos the show, that wasn't Science Channel, and I'm not a fan of Neil deGrasse Tyson either, because he's kind of exemplifies this, just like this pseudoscience that sounds sensational, and then when you actually look into it, there's actually a bunch of scientists who aren't famous at all but are more serious about their work who will really break it down to you. So I kind of liked, though, that there was that sensationalist aspect of science that you could kind of have fun with in a cinematic way. So I wanted to put that into a movie. And I also wanted to put in the fact that in my own exploration, spiritual exploration, and again, encounters with the supernatural, as far as I can quantify it, no pun intended, the psychology of Carl Jung. And I wanted to try and take Carl Jung's writings and his theories on psychology and turn them into a visual vocabulary. So I figured, okay, if I just take quantum physics and the occult and mash them together as kind of like an excuse to just do wild stuff, and then really do something that worked on almost a subconscious subliminal level, which is more about self-exploration and perception. But the thing is when you dig into Jungian psychology, you go inward, you can't help but reveal things about yourself. So the movie started to become kind of a regurgitation of all these different things and my feelings about them. And I started to see things in the movie that I didn't even know were there, because it's like a dream. You go back and analyze it. But a few spooky things happened while I was living there that I wouldn't say are exactly ghost encounters, although I do have my own stories about those in other instances. But weird stuff would happen that I would put into the movie, and then after rewatching the movie, I would go, okay, this means something. This was like something coming from the outside. Some of it was just simple, like being on a walk and discovering a path going between houses, and going, I need to put this path in my movie. I don't know why, but I feel compelled to. And then later on, the image of the path in the movie lined up precisely with representations in Jungian literature of civilization versus nature and the spiritual in between. And I did not intend that. It was just came to me to put that in there. But the weirdest part is, that scene with the stone bench that comes out of nowhere in the dark, and she goes to sit on it, and then she goes into the dimension. Well, I actually encountered that stone bench on a walk at night. I was walking my dog. And it was this weird, just kind of, I would say, is Stonehengian a term? It is now. So it's a Stonehengian bench just sitting on the corner.
Monolithic. It was a monolithic bench.
Yeah, it looked out of place. I was like, did they
don't
like
this better
for a bus stop on the sidewalk? But it looked like it was made of old stone. And so I started walking up to it, and as I got closer, it started to change shape until I got up to it, and it was completely gone. But the thing is that all the shapes that were there were suddenly like a stain on the sidewalk, a patch of grass, that sort of thing. And I went, oh, it's this weird, crazy optical illusion where just everything lined up right to fool my eyes at a distance, thinking that there was a 3-dimensional stone bench when it was actually just markings on the road and that sort of thing. However,
my first marriage, very similar.
Markings on the road. Where is your ex-wife, by the way?
Oh, just
markings on the road, is she?
Just keep heading south.
I have no.
Better left unsaid.
Yeah, kind of awkward.
In the Merry Melodies version, she's probably singing a song while somebody's getting boiled in a cauldron.
Oh, God.
Shout out to your ex-wife.
Yeah.
Anyway, the only thing
she did enough shouting of her own. You don't need to shout. The shouting has already been done.
Yeah, just don't say your name 3 times in front of a mirror.
We don't tempt. What's her name now?
Oh, jeez. She goes by many names: Morning Star,
Lucifer.
Well, just
Yeah.
My favorite has always been Satan,
if you
because
say her name,
and in psychology that there's a lot to unpack in that. But I won't go down that road. I'm not going to get like full into psychology, but anyway, the scene where he draws that weird shape on the table and then he steps back and it becomes a 3-dimensional box.
Right,
also
yeah.
inspired by that. But it's very interesting because it was like, again, this is me sounding crazy, and I guess I'm just going to go with sounding crazy because why not? But I feel like while I was making that movie, I was tapping into something, and I was getting things were happening in that neighborhood that felt like I was getting pieces sent to me to put into the movie. And the movie for me has taken on more meaning when I watch it and kind of get stuff back from it than I ever intended to put in. And that's really neat for me because that means that other people that watch it, I really understand David Lynch's kind of edict that he's not going to tell you what his movies are about. I don't think some filmmakers who are artistes, they use that as a cop-out for sure. But I think David Lynch really wants you to watch it and see what you get out of it in terms of seeing yourself reflected back at you. So I always tell people, if you're going to watch the movie, watch it like you're having a dream. And once it's over, like waking up from a dream, think about it and go, what did that dream mean? And so that's what excites me about this movie. And the fact is that I was never going to try and pitch this movie in Hollywood. I had left Hollywood deliberately by then because I knew no Hollywood producer was ever going to let me make a movie that way. And I'm really, people say everyone hates their first film. I don't hate this at all. I'm really proud of it. I don't think everyone's going to get it, and that's fine. It's not going to be for everybody, but every time I rewatch it, it's like I said, it's like analyzing a dream. I'm getting things out of it that I didn't know were there, or maybe I'm thinking about it in a different way than when I watched it back before I released it. You go, oh, this is about this now, or you can apply it to different things. So I'm really excited by that, and thank you for letting me say all that because I don't often get the opportunity to without security being called.
I have a question for you. It's something that Ash and I have talked about before on a couple of different shows, and it's: do you believe that the work that you were doing with the movie, do you think that was manifesting some of these things? Do you think that it was, or do you think it was kind of happenstance?
That I was what? You kind of cut out there for a second.
I'm sorry, like that you were managing, like the work that you were doing with,
like if you were manifesting almost in the sense of like a thought form, Rob, or like tulpas almost.
Yeah, like a thought form, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, it's tough to say because it certainly felt that way at the time. I mean, I definitely had a plot that I'd written out in a script, and the script was, I think, wasn't that long, but there was a lot that I cut out of it, a lot of dialogue, because originally what happened was I had a very much stronger idea of what was going on in the movie and what things were supposed to mean in terms of, you know, very common tropes in movies like, you know, time being, even though we experience it linearly, time being something that all exists at once, and that's still in there. But it seemed after a while of like, once I shot it and I had the actors say the lines and do all these different things, that a lot of it just needed to go, because audiences don't need to have that regurgitated at them over and over again. They get that trope. They've seen the Science Channel. So yeah, in terms of now, tulpas are an interesting thing, because I actually have been working on another story that involves a tulpa in a way that I don't think I've seen anybody ever think of approaching a tulpa. And again, I don't do it literally in the terms of how people believe they manifest tulpas. I kind of use it as a launch pad for that story. And I can't say much about it yet, but yeah, definitely there was certainly a meditative act during the making of it. And not just, you know, not just with me, but with other people working on it. I know Jenna Green, she could tell you some stories about her experiences. And we had one very interesting thing happen. It was almost like we had a shoot day where things were just not going wrong. They were fine, but weird things kept happening. Like the power went out in the middle of a shoot, or middle of us preparing for a shot. And then it came back on right when we were ready to shoot. Now that in itself is not unusual, but combined with different things that happened, like at the time we had a white cat named Abigail. And she even then she was old. I think she was maybe like 15, 16 years old. She would hang out. She wasn't afraid of the actors being in the house or anything like that. One of Kristen Koshel, the lead actress, she went outside to do something. I don't know, maybe have a cigarette or something like that. And she saw Abigail outside, and she was just like, how'd the cat get out here? So she picked up the cat and she put it back inside, and the cat started meowing, just like I've never heard before. And I was like, what's wrong with Abigail? And then suddenly Abigail walks up to this cat. It was a different cat that looked exactly the same. And it was, you know, being quantum physics, everyone in the cast and the crew like instantly went Schrodinger's cat. Just, the cat is like in two different states inside the box that is this house. Just weird stuff would happen like that all throughout. One thing I will say, though, is as I dove deeper into the movie after we finished shooting and I started editing it, I really started having kind of almost conversations with the film, and I started kind of like putting thoughts out, asking questions, kind of like people do with EVPs. And, you know, at first I was just kind of doing it, playing with it. And then I asked a question, and I will never tell anybody what the question was for personal reasons. But I asked the question, and I very clearly heard a voice answer yes. And again, I won't say what the question was or what the yes meant, but about 10 minutes later, that yes came true. And it freaked me out so profoundly that I will never go looking to ask that voice any questions ever again, because it was such a clear yes. And it does involve the movie. And so I do feel like there is something manifest, whether it came from outside to me or it's something that I manifested through the movie. It's there. And I kind of wonder if enough people watch it and enough people take it seriously, if something of that will pass into them too. And I mean, I kind of hope so, just for the sheer mind-altering experience of it. You know, and I want it to be successful and make me lots of money. So there you go.
I think the creative
I've
process.
got to ask a paranormal investigator question.
Oh, go ahead, Rob.
Yeah.
I've got to ask the paranormal investigator question because Brian and I have done this for years now. And sometimes when we ask a question of an EVP or a person has asked a question of an EVP, it's a 50-50 kind of thing. I'm not going to ask you what the question was. I'm going to respect that part, but was it more 70-30 or was it truly a 50-50 coin flip?
No. It was a 1 in a million. It was I will say
so
this.
You're saying there's a chance.
It was a question about the future, and a question about the immediate future, and it was, no, it was not a 50-50. It was definitely something very personal, and something that I had been kind of contemplating for a while, that was about to come to a head. And so again, I can't, it was something though that was not it was something that I was looking to get past in my life. I will say that. So
Okay. I just asked the question because, you know, so many people will, you know, we get so many people send us, you know, pictures, EVPs and things like that. And, you know, they want it to be that. So that's why I have a question. That's all.
Well, you know, I take that very seriously, because yes, I think most of the time, wanting it to be so is definitely something that needs to be taken into consideration, because essentially it's confirming bias. And if you're confirming a bias to yourself and it's not real, then it's really not any good to you. Then you're crossing into the realm of being delusional. And I certainly don't absolve myself of the potential that I in some of what I'm telling you, that I've been somewhat delusional. But I'll tell you how I approach ghosts in my actual first encounter with one, which was very interesting. And I don't know if you want to indulge me in that story, or if I'm taking up too much of the panel's time.
No, go right ahead.
Okay, so I was not. I mean, as a teenager, I wanted to believe in ghosts, you know. And as I got older, I kind of went like, okay, you're, you know, like a lot of things, you're, you know, put that away with your, you know, wanting to believe in, you know, vampires or fairies or anything else like that. You know, it's like you're older now. So I didn't believe in ghosts. And I'll never forget this experience. I lived in just outside of Hollywood, and I had a female friend who was living in North Hollywood in some rundown old apartments. Now, Hollywood has some very old buildings, you know, I mean, not relative to, you know, European old buildings, but, you know, these apartments were probably getting close to 100 years old. And it was, I can't remember the year, but I remember it was April Fool's Day, because it was actually on the night that Roz Williams of Christian Death killed himself. If you're not into the goth scene, then that might not mean anything to you. But we had essentially, her and her brother were living in this studio apartment, which is probably not any bigger than this room, maybe a little bigger than the room I'm in now. It was that room, a little kitchenette, and a bathroom and a vanity. And she had for furniture a couch and 2 milk crates. That was it. And she was broke. But we were going to go to this goth club in Hollywood at the El Rey Theater called Coven 13. And so the plan was, I wanted to go and drink. Usually I drove to the clubs and back. I never got to drink, and I don't like to drink and drive and never have. So I was like, hey, can I drive to your place? I'll crash on your floor. She sleeps on the couch. Her brother sleeps on the floor. And we'll go to the club. We'll take a cab. We'll come back, and then I'll sleep it off, and then I'll drive home. And she said, sure, we'll order some pizzas. So I arrive, and I'd never been there before. It was my first time going there. So I arrive. I knock on the door. She opens the doors, her and her brother there. And I look down, and there's this black cat. And, when cats see someone new, they do that thing and then they run off. So it did that, and it ran away from me, back into the, there you go, 1998. Thank you. So, so the cat ran off into the apartment.
It's like pop-up video without the impressive hosts. Celebrity talent.
Yep.
You have impressive hose? Oh, no. Oh, hosts. Sorry.
I used to. He's Irish.
Yeah. But that was back when I was known as Smackety Williams.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Did I buy drugs?
Like light switch.
Anyway, so long story short, I go in, we order some pizzas. She puts the pizzas on the milk crates. That's her coffee table. We get the cab. We go. We have a good time. There's rest in peace Roz Williams posters all over the club. We get really drunk. We come back. We walk in, and the pizza boxes, the lids are flipped open. And her brother says, hey, didn't we close those pizza lids? And she's like, yeah. He's like, it's the ghost. So I'm drunk. I'm going, okay, they've decided to mess with me. I'm like, ghost, come on, you guys. And we sit down on the floor, and they're closing the pizza lids. And they're going, no, ask anyone in this place. This whole complex is haunted. She's like, I have seen figures walk from one wall to another. It's like one ghost I've seen looking from my little closet where the vanity is. She's like, and there's even a cat that we see. And I stop dead. And I look around, and remember, it's a couch and 2 milk crates and a kitchenette. And I look around, there's no cat box, nothing. And I look, I was like, you guys don't have a cat, do you? And they're like, no, we don't. I said, I saw the cat. When I came in, it was at the door with you guys, and it ran off. And they went, see, I told you. And I'll never forget it, because I saw that cat clear as day. And it occurred to me after no one prompted me that the place was haunted. No one mentioned anything about ghosts. I just saw it naturally on its own. And since I've told that story, people have said to me oh, come on, if you're going to make up a ghost story, make it interesting. A cat? This cat was clear as day, and it ran off into their apartment like any cat would. And I didn't think anything of it, because people have pets and then they go and hide, but there wasn't really any place to hide. But I was already going, where are the drinks? Let's get this party started.
Right.
So the fact that I was not prompted at all, that I didn't even have ghosts on my mind, or even at that time particularly had any belief in ghosts, and then I saw that, was a paradigm shift in my perception of what the supernatural might be. And I've had other experiences since. Some in this house, I have seen a figure walk across the living room in this house, again, without ever being prompted, and then finding out later that this neighborhood is one of the neighborhoods that everyone you ask has a story or 2 or 3, and some other weird stuff has happened. Some of it is We have smoke alarm. Sometimes a smoke alarm will go off, and it'll go until I yell at it, knock it off, and then it'll stop just like that. Just on a hunch, I did that. So I don't know what that means. I have found things rearranged, things taken out and laid neatly on the floor when I wasn't in a room and came back into a room. My daughter reported that a door opened and shut on her just out of nowhere. I didn't want her to get freaked out or even like lead on that this place might have some activity. So I just said, oh no, it's just the drafts of the air conditioning. You know, not
How far are you from Rochester, New York?
What's that?
How far are you from Rochester, New York?
So anyway, you know,
You just blew me right off. That's a move. Blew me right off.
Did the joke go over my head?
No,
I was being serious. Like, how far are you from Rochester, New York?
Pretty far.
Like in proximity. Where are you located, Christopher?
I'm in Kyle, Texas, which is just south of Austin. So
okay. Now, how is the scene in Austin? Because I've heard it is ever evolving. That at one point in time, culturally speaking, it was a creative center, and then I heard that it was sort of becoming the new Silicon Valley, and I just hear that it just keeps evolving into sort of these different sort of countercultures.
I love Austin.
It's not very counterculture these days. I mean, it is definitely the hipster aspect of Austin, which, you know, it'll always be. My wife works she's a escrow officer. I actually, when I'm not doing film stuff, I work as a notary doing closings on homes. So I actually drive around and see a lot of the homes and stuff. Mainly, the real boom of interesting stuff for me is going on around Austin with the growth and new businesses and stuff. It's been really healthy that way. Austin itself, in trying to kind of keep things like the same, has kind of stagnated a little bit, which is unfortunate because it's, you know, Austin is literally full. Like, you can't buy a house in Austin. All the space has been taken up. I like Austin, but I'm not a city person. I like the country. I went to Hollywood like 2 times a week for years when I was in my 20s and late teens, you know, doing the city thing. And I've just kind of now I'm like gardening when I'm making movies in my garage and doing animation stuff and visual effects. And, you know, but I'm also like building planters out of pallets and stuff like that. So it's I've become kind of uninteresting in my regular life. I'm not all doing wild stuff or hobnobbing or that sort of thing. Although I am very fortunate to be in touch with a lot of interesting people. And, you know, I'm still in touch with my friends at ADI. You know, we still share that passion for practical effects. And I'm trying to bring some of that out here. One of the things I'm very interested because there's movie studios being built out here, not in Austin, but like in surrounding cities. And they're being built by people that are kind of like me, where they want to do things outside of Hollywood. They don't want to be beholden to that system or be kind of like under the thumb of that money, that velvet rope money, where they say you can only make certain kinds of films. And with video on demand, people are looking to break that mold, break that format, you know. And things like horror movies are still more popular than ever. I'm able to do things like the Quantum Terror, which are definitely different. Documentaries are huge right now in the video on demand market. So I'm looking at maybe doing something about that. Probably not a ghost documentary because I really don't know enough about it. I'd feel like a poser, even though I've had my stories, you know. But maybe it might be fun to do like a mock documentary, like about, I don't know, not mock in the sense of like humor, but maybe do something like a cross between the Blair Witch and a documentary style thing where it's not so much found footage, but it's interviews and stuff. And maybe it's like Lovecraft, people who deal with Lovecraftian creatures or something like that, you know, the Shoggoth Zoo, something like that might be interesting. But I don't know, but this is the great thing about now is, you know, people are kind of focused on Austin and Atlanta and this could like New Mexico about movies, but really what I'm learning is there's interesting stuff going on everywhere, and you can create from anywhere. You know, even I'm discovering, even just going to like my daughter's high school, they put on these amazing school plays that are like have real production value. And I look forward to it because it's something different than movies, which I'm also big on encouraging people. I'm just going off on a tangent here. We went from like ghost cats to figures to Austin, but
well, you know, it's great when you start looking at local community efforts and what you didn't know was there. For example, I'm in an extremely rural place regionally. And when I say rural, we're talking towns of 300 people, 400 people, and then there's some pretty wide expanses between those towns. So when I was making my film, I was talking to a few people just about making films locally, and actually found that there was a guy that had just made a film and put it on Amazon that was 6 miles from me.
I love that. That's awesome. What's your film called again? Because is it out?
It is not out yet. It's called Holes in the Sky, the Sean Miller story. We did get our official release slate. We just have not publicized it yet. So within the next, I would say 48, 72 hours, we're going to start with our press releases to let people know when and where. But it is this year. People will see it in 2022, closer to Halloween. I can say that, I guess. Yeah, closer to Halloween.
So you got traditional distribution?
Yeah, we ended up getting a distribution deal. We had talked to several distributors initially, and we had found one that we just felt was more representative of a kind of close relationship that we wanted. We had talked to a couple who were buying movies on slate of 35 to like big distributors, 35 to 50 movies on slate like per season. And we just thought we're so small, like our film was such a small budget and unknown cast, depending on how much money they're pushing towards that slate in total, we might not get barely a percentage of whatever their marketing budget's going to be for that slate of film. Whereas a different distributor got a hold of us and said, listen, we're really looking at pushing 2 or 3 films. And that just to me seemed like a much more of an intimate sort of relationship. And we went with them. And, we've been pretty confident. They've been great so far. But, talking to other filmmakers, I mean, I'm a one-man band. I wrote, I directed, I acted in it. And I also, did all my mixes and everything, my mix downs and everything for my audio, all my color grading, all my special effects. So the quality control portion of the distribution relationship was lengthy for me because there was a lot of stuff that I was going back and I just had to flatten a lot of learning curves to make it happen.
It took me 7 years from idea to release to get the Quantum Terror done. So I know exactly what you're talking about. I know we're running out of time. I don't know if we can go over a little bit or not, but it's like I said, it's just wonderful that so many people can do that and find local talent, work with local talent. I'm working, and even with the internet, you can have people help you from afar with the Quantum Terror. Someone in Australia gave me a little bit of VFX help, who Paul Ketty of Makeup Effects Group in Australia. He did some stuff. And you only see it in a flash, like in an instant, because you have those subliminal flashes going on in the Quantum Terror. Right. But we're going to do a proof of concept for our next film, which is going to be, I'm going to act in it with 2 other actors in a local barn that we found, where the gentleman's helping. We just shot another short film in an actual haunted house as well. They had some wild stories. I forgot about that. But we're going to do that. And then we're going to have another actor who's in Florida. She's going to literally phone in her performance. It's going to be someone having a character's having a conversation over video chat on a phone. We're not just going to do it cheesy, like, you know, listening in on a live stream or something like that. We're going to actually kind of write it into the story so it feels like it actually belongs there rather than just a way to literally phone it in. But if, you know, with video on demand just changing the landscape of not only how we distribute, but how we tell stories, because we're not beholden to commercial breaks or theatrical 90-minute blocks for certain screenings per day or anything like that. So it's changing the medium, which is going to change the way that we tell stories. And I'm very excited about that. Yeah, I could go on. And I'm thrilled I got to tell my ghost story, because usually I don't get to do that. And especially people who, like, you know, are actual ghost hunters. And, you know, I am mildly psychic, so I'm going to answer the question you're all thinking. No, I am not menstruating.
Oh, because I thought we synced up for a second. I was like, Chris and I are dancing together under the blood moon.
It is your week, Ash.
It is.
You know,
I've been very moody.
About the ghost story real quick. Those are like my favorite ones, is when something happens and you don't realize it until later.
Until someone tells you,
Until someone tells you, you know, oh yeah, so, you know, there's the, you know, either somebody ran into, you know, a stranger on the street and, you know, wearing a, you know, a certain thing, and then they hear about the story later on. They're like, oh my God, I saw that guy, you know, or you saw that cat. You know, those are my favorite ones. I love those.
So, I have, Chris, as we head, not to interrupt him, as we head into the top of the hour here, where can people currently watch the Quantum Terror, and where, as far as social media channels, can they learn more about you and what you've got happening next?
Well, I have a OnlyFans. Oh no, wait, no, that's
Smackety Williams.
They don't want to learn that much about me. So yes,
EJ has no fucking time for me at all. She has no time.
Zero.
Well, I want to encourage everyone to check out the Quantum.
Brian, which, I mean, it's kind of.
He's pretty chill.
I know, like I'm waiting for Brian's comeuppance.
Maybe one day, but not today.
You know, fuck Rob, fuck Ash. Brian's okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be the sequel to Life of Brian. It's called The Wrath of Brian.
That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. So yeah, where can they learn more about your stuff?
See the movie.
I would really, like I said, it's on Tubi right now, which I'm thrilled with, because Tubi has been my favorite app. So much so that I made a new trailer for the Quantum Terror, where at the end you see "Watch it on Tubi," the logo, and I actually did a VFX where the Tubi logo is like wrapped in different tentacles, like squirming around.
Very cool.
I love Tubi so much for horror movies. They've got old stuff, new stuff, the Charles Band Full Moon stuff. They just got Jason and the Argonauts and the Sinbad movies, the Ray Harryhausen ones.
Oh, very nice.
So I'm, you know, and Conan the Barbarian. I just watched that the other night on there. So yeah, Tubi is such a great channel. I'm so excited to be on there. So I want you to watch it on Tubi. And it's going to be, if you're international, it's going to be on Filmzy soon, because Tubi's not international. Filmzy, I don't know as much about, except that my wife, whenever I say Filmzy, she takes on a Swedish accent and goes, Filmzy. So social media, just look for Christopher Moonlight Productions on YouTube. I also have a Christopher Moonlight Productions Substack, and there's Quantum Terror and Christopher Moonlight are on Instagram and Facebook. So just look those up and interact with me. Also, what I really would love is if you watch the movie, and even if you didn't like the movie, rate it on IMDb, because that helps me a lot. Just seeing the ratings that people are rating it really helps to boost it and helps me to get it onto more platforms. Because I didn't go with a distributor. I went with Film Hub, which is a sales platform, and they are so great. They have gotten me on 7 different video on demand platforms.
Oh, that's great.
20%, and I'm already seeing it's not profit money, but I'm seeing money come back, which is really nice. And I own 100% of my IP Nobody else, no distribution or anything like that. So that's really a wonderful thing. And if I may, before we wrap up, I have one other supernatural story that, again, is kind of in the realm of things I didn't know happened. And I learned about them after the fact. Can we end with that, or is that?
Oh no, totally.
So it's a little sad. A friend of mine is a comic book creator. His name is Batten Lash. He did a comic called Supernatural Law, and really wonderful guy. Him and his wife Jackie, and they'd done stuff with like Lloyd Kaufman of Troma, and they were friends. But Batten lived in San Diego, and I was in Arizona at the time. I had a dream that I would always see Batten at comic book conventions. So I had a dream I was at a hotel lobby, with the kind with like the parking, like drop off pickup with the sliding glass doors. And then there was a desk, and then there was a hall. And in the hall, there was like a little convention center, like one of those smaller conventions. And I see Batten walking out of the convention, and I was like, I didn't know Batten was going to be here. It was one of those dreams where you don't realize you're dreaming. And I waved him down, and he waved back, and he came walking up to me. He's like, Christopher, it's great to see you. I was like, Batten, are you at this? Are you part of this convention? Do you have a table here? And he goes, no, I haven't been well. I don't think I'm going to be doing any more conventions. And I was like, you're not? Like, I'm really sorry to hear that. Like, you okay? And he's like, no, I am okay. I'm really good. How's the family? And I was like, family's great. Yeah, maybe they're around here somewhere. They'd love to see you. He's like, oh, I got to get going, but it's really good to see you. And he leaves, and he walks out through the glass doors, and the glass doors had a blinding, like when you overexpose a camera, like blinding light. And he just walks into that light, and the doors shut and are gone. And I woke up from that dream, and I was like, wow, that was a really realistic dream. And I messaged him on Facebook. I said, hey, I had this really wild dream about you. Thought I'd check on you, see how you're doing. I haven't heard from you in a bit. And I didn't get a response. And then a day later, I saw one of our mutual friends put, God bless Batten Lash. And so I messaged his wife, and we were planning to go to San Diego. I messaged his wife, and I said, hey, what's this God bless Batten Lash? Is Batten okay? She's like, no, he's been in a coma for the last 3 days. He has a brain tumor. And he died right after that, a few days after that. And I actually was heading to San Diego. I didn't get to see him. But I only regret that it was after the fact that I told his wife about the dream, because it was so real. And he, told me, yeah, that is a great painting, by the way. He told me that was, that he hadn't been well, and he wasn't going to be around to do conventions anymore. So another weird thing where I didn't know, and then suddenly that happened. So I'm gonna feel a little choked up, because I love Batten. He was a really good guy, and we did some work together. But it also was very feel good. And when I told his wife that dream, she was very grateful that I did. So that's my story, and I guess we can wrap it up with that.
Well, you've had a couple of fantastic stories, and also talking about, again, sort of the inception of the ideas behind Quantum Terror, your journey on Quantum Terror, how Quantum Terror sort of seeped into our own reality within its own sort of bubble of existence is a great story too. We want to thank you so much for being on with us, Christopher. I'm sorry.
I said it might be a dangerous movie. I might unleash apocalypse if enough people watch it. Who knows? So,
well, I'm ready to check out. So everyone, please watch Christopher's movie. Let's get this going. at least before the next presidential election, please. So I want everyone to check out The Quantum Terror on Tubi right now. Do you have a few moments off the air for us, Christopher?
Yeah.
I want to thank everyone who popped in and out of the chat tonight. We've had an absolutely wonderful time. It is the fastest hour on the internet. We're so glad that we're able to welcome some of our friends into the Night Terrors family. Thank you so much for listening, and we will be back next Thursday, 8 Central.
Thank you.